Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. This story is about the past lives of Kassapa and Bhadda Kapilina. At the time of the former Buddha Vipassi, there had been a poor Brahmin couple. They were so extremely poor that they had only one single upper garment, and hence only one of one of them at a time could go out of their hut. In a record of this story, Abraham was therefore called the he with one garment. Though it may not be easy for us to understand with such extreme poverty, it will still be more difficult to understand that there have been many people for whom that utter poverty did not mean subjective personal suffering. This was so that with those two beings who later were to be Kassapa and Bhadda, in their life as a poor Brahmin couple, they had lived in such a perfect harmony that it was easier for them to bear their poverty. Both, one after the other, had listened to the sermons of the Buddha Vipassi. Through that, Buddha's teaching, the value of giving and generosity became so deeply impressed on the mind of that Brahmin that he wanted to offer his only upper garment to the order of monks. But after he had so resolved, scruples came to his mind. As it was his wife's only upper garment, he thought that he should first consult his wife. How could they manage if they had no upper garment at all? He had resolutely pushed aside all his hesitation and offered the garment to the monks. Having done so, he clapped his hands and joyfully called out, I have vanquished, I have vanquished. When the king who had listened to the Buddha Vipassy sermons behind the curtain heard that shout of victory and learned its reason, he sent he sent sets of garments to the Brahmin and later made him his court chaplain. So the couple's plight had come to an end. At, as a result of selfless giving, the Brahmin was reborn in a celestial world. After after parting from there, he became a king on earth, a great benefactor of his people who generously supported as, ascetics, and among them also the Pekka Buddhas living at that time. Bara was then his chief queen. As as to Bhadda, she was once the mother of a Brahmin youth who was a pupil of the Buddhasara and wanted to become an ascetic. Kassapa was her husband, Ananda her son. Bhadda had wanted her son to throw the worldly life before she would permit him to become an ascetic. But that knowledge and lesson came to the young Brahmin in a very true and drastic way. The teacher's the teacher's mother felt compassionately in love with him, and he was even ready to kill her son. This encounter with reckless passion caused with him in him a deep revulsion for worldly life and a thorough disgust with it. After the experience, his parents gave him permission to go forth as an ascetic. Again, another time, Kassapa and Bhadda had been Brahmin parents of four sons who in the future were to be our Buddhasara, Anuruddha, Sariputta, Mahamoggallana. All four wanted to become ascetics. At first, the parents refused permission, but later they came to understand the fruits and benefits of an ascetic life, and they themselves became ascetics. In another life, two village headmen who were friends decided that if the children that they were expecting were to be of the opposite sex, they should marry. And it so happened, but in their previous life, both children had been deities of the Brahma world, hence they had no desire for sensual pleasures, and with their parents' permission, chose the ascetic life. Bhadda only one wrong act reported in the stories of her past life was this. At a time between the appearance of the Buddhas of the past, there was only Pekka Buddha, when only Pekka Buddhas lived. Bhadda was a wife of a landowner. One day, having quarreled with her sister-in-law, she begrudged her the merit of offering almsfood to a Pekka Buddha who was on alms round. She took the Pekka Buddha's bowl and filled it with mud, but at once she felt remorse, took the bowl back, washed it, filled it with delicious fragrant food, and offered it to the Buddha. In her next life, she possessed great wealth and beauty, but her body exuded a loathsome odor. Her husband, who later was to be Kassapa, could not bear the noxious smell and left her. As she was beautiful, she had no other suitors, but all her later marriages had the same end. She was full of despair and no longer saw any meaning in her life. her parents had disposed of her property. She had her ornaments melted down and formed into a golden brick. Taking that golden brick with her, she went to a monastery where the stupa was being erected in honor of the Buddha Kassapa, who had just passed away. For the completion of the stupa, stupa, she offered that golden brick with great devotion. After she done that, her body became fragrant again, and her first husband Kassapa took her back. Two, Two lives before her present existence, Bhadda was the queen of Benares and used to support several Pekka Buddhas. Deeply moved by their sudden death, she renounced her worldly life as a queen and lived in a meditative life in the Himalayas. By the power of her renunciation and her meditative attainment, she was reborn in the Brahman world, and so was Kassapa. At the end of the long lifespan in the Brahma world, both were reborn in the human world. In the Brahman family, they were named Papali, Kassapa, and Bhadda Kapilani. From these accounts, we gather that in their former existences had both lived a life of purity, and in the Brahma worlds had repeatedly been ascetic renunciates. Hence, in their full existence, it had not been difficult for them to keep a life of celibacy, to give up all possessions and follow the Buddha's teaching up to its culmination in all hardships. This story is in the about how Kassapa and Bhadda had became had their past lives, and they were like deeply connected because of their past life. So in each life, they would be somehow related. For example, in one life, um, Kassapa became was a king, and his wife was Bhadda. In another life, where in a wrong act that Bhadda had done in her life, where she filled an alms bowl filled with mud but felt remorse, so she washed it and replaced it with delicious food. But then in her next life, she was beautiful, but she had a intoxicating smell that her first husband Kassapa, and that life left her. But after she felt remorse, and she she took all her wealth and forged it into a brick and gave it to the monks in devotion. After completing that task, her body became fragrant again, and her husband Kassapa took her back. And that is the story of the past lives of Kassapa and Bhadda Kapilani.